If the microphone is working, it's working. All right. Yeah. Every time I touch my microphone, I'm this is like the second or third time this week. I touched the cord on my microphone and the microphone, it just stops working. I'm glad I got a little green, but I got some buttons down here, whatever. It shows me if the microphone's working. And it's like every time I touch the cord on the microphone just stops working. So I have to check on the microphone. I got to make sure I just stop touching the cord from now on. I got to make a habit of not touching the cord. As soon as I touch the cord, boom, the microphone, and I have to stop going live. It's oh my goodness. All right. So in my continuing series, this is the second part now, right? But I mean, we brought in Jackrabbit, right? In 5 years, basically, what was it? 5 years, 62. So like $12.5 million a year for Jackrabbit. Okay. Yeah. He had a very good first year. And then after that, there was a couple games in there. It seems like he didn't even want to play. He wasn't even like trying to tackle and stuff like that. It was just absolute embarrassment. Then we brought in Olivier Vernon in 5 years, $85 million, $17 million a year. So basically between Jackrabbit and Olivier Vernon, we were paying $30 million a year. Then we brought in Damon Harris, Mr. Snacks. He was like a little over $9 million a year. So basically between Jenkins, Vernon, and Harrison, it was almost $40 million a year between those three guys we brought in. Now, obviously, Vernon's like an edge rusher, defensive end / outside linebacker, whatever you want to call him, right? Very, very, very productive player when he was healthy. Snacks Harrison was a phenomenal run stuffer, very good runner. You weren't getting much out of the pass rush, but very, very good as far as clogging up the middle. Very good. And Janoris Jenkins, when he played well, when he wanted to play, that was a very good cornerback, especially in 2016. But, the problem was that he brought in like $40 million. You're going back to 2016, the salary cap wasn't quite that high. So you're probably going back, it was probably like over, I don't know what the salary cap was, but back in 2016, I guess I could probably figure that the heck out here. But I mean, you're looking at like, oh, okay. Well, let's try this out here. 2016. Let's update the salary cap. They can't go back that far. All right. Okay. Whatever. Oh, no, that's it. All right. But I mean, you're looking at probably like almost like a third of your, not a third, maybe a quarter of your salary cap was going to those three guys that you just brought in. As I said, the problem is that, you start, we had like, what was it? $24 million guaranteed to Snacks Harrison, $52.5 million to Vernon guaranteed, $28 million guaranteed. So you basically got $100 million guaranteed money going out to Jenkins, Vernon, and Harrison. As I said, so when those three guys, when it's time to let them go, or things don't work out, or they stop playing like they want to play and all that stuff and everything, you have $100 million dished out guaranteed to these guys. I mean, right? Nothing puts you in salary cap hell faster than doing something like that. Once again, and one of the reasons why Jerry Reese had to do this was because a lot of his drafts weren't very good. Like between his first and second round pick, he'd hit on one of them. Whether it was a first rounder or whether it was missing out on Eric Flowers, but hitting on the second rounder with Landon Collins. Whether missing out on Eli Apple in 2016, but hitting on Sterling Shepard. Whether hitting on a first rounder OBJ, right? In 2014, hitting on some first rounders, but missing on the second round. And then a lot of his later round draft picks never made the team. So the cupboard was bare with Jerry Reese. After a while, we just could not replenish the team because our draft was just so weak, right? So you had to go out and just start bringing in either really horrible guys that the team wanted, or you had to start bringing in free agents, right? And just after a while, I mean, just Jerry Reese just wore the team out. I mean, there was just the talent was just not there. I mean, we maybe, as I said, you had a nice pick here, a nice pick there, but for the most part, we didn't have enough good quality talent throughout the whole team, and we didn't have a lot of good quality depth. And that's one of the reasons why we went, from 2011 to, Well, we had the one draft, from 2011 to 2022. We only had one in between those years. We only had 1 year where we went to the playoffs, and a lot of us because of Jerry Reese. I mean, there's a lot of his bad drafts, right? Then we go to Dave Gettleman, right? And let's not forget, the money he was spending, going crazy with the Nate Solder, right? 4 years, $62 million, $35 million guaranteed. I mean, what the heck is that? $15.5 million a year for Nate Solder. Then we brought in Jonathan Stewart. I mean, that was a Kareem Martin, Patrick Omome, right? I mean, remember bringing him in? He was he was a guard, I think it was, right? Lost out to Scott Norwell to the Jaguars, so they brought in Omome. I mean, he was horrible. Then we brought, Antoine Bethea, right, with Golden Tate. I mean, 4 years, $37.5 million for him. Marcus Golden, right, who had one good year with the Giants. Then we brought in Bradbury, who now, of course, we couldn't, the way they structured his contract, he made so much money this last year, we couldn't afford to keep him. Blake Martinez, Logan Ryan, Levine Toyolo, Kyler Fackrell, Cameron Fleming, Colt McCoy, Nate Ebner, Deion Lewis. A lot of these guys are very minimal price-wise. You also brought in Graham Gano, right? Got to give him credit there. But then he traded for Leonard Williams, who wound up being very good for the Giants, but next year his cap hit is $32 million. He also had to trade away a couple picks to get the guy when he was going to be a free agent at the end of the year, and we could have got him maybe in free agency, but I guess Gettleman didn't want to try to miss it. I guess didn't want to go into a bidding war with people or other teams maybe, and he just wanted to make sure he got him. So that's why he traded to get him. But I mean, with Bradbury. It's just some, obviously Galladay, going into the season, we couldn't even sign our draft class. I mean, you can't, we couldn't sign basically, and we had to start letting guys go because we couldn't sign them. Right? Yeah. I mean, we couldn't keep them because we couldn't sign our draft class. We had to let James Bradbury go. Right. And then you don't want to pushing off Leonard Williams' contract. And I said next year he's making like $32 million. Hopefully what Shane will wind up doing, will wind up being, maybe extending his contract, right? Adding maybe another couple years onto it, taking that cap hit, that $32 million, bringing that down to whatever, 20 million, 17, 18 million, whatever. Okay. And freeing up another $15 million in salary cap money, letting Kenny Galladay go after June 1st, which is save the Giants like another $13 million. So we got, that would be like, whatever, 25 million or so between those two guys, between maybe letting Galladay go, maybe restructuring Leonard Williams' contract, right? That free up a bunch more money for the Giants. So, but I mean, also another thing I wanted to point out here. I mean, the Giants next year, not too bad. I mean, as of right now, according to Spot Track, you go to Over the Cap, you go to Spot Track, you go here, it's like everyone's got the Giants having different amount of money. It's just, I just go to Spot Track because I can look at it. I'm used to it. I'm comfortable with the numbers and I'm comfortable reading and everything and all that. Doesn't mean they're spot on right, but they're close. They got the Giants with dead cap money, $3.8 million. Very, very good. Of course, that's not, of course, that includes keeping Kenny Galladay on it. So if we wind up letting him go, we'll have probably add like another, what would that be? Another 7 or 8 million to the dead cap. So, but hopefully, Shane will wind up doing, keeping the guys, drafting guys, trying to develop the guys, signing our own guys. Okay. Not having the dead cap money is a killer, absolute killer. Right. And if you can if that is a huge, if you can draft well, all right, develop your players. okay, and keep sign them. I mean, it's huge, absolutely huge, because you need your developmental guys, you need your second stringers, you need decent depth, but you need those guys who are making $1 million a year. You got to have those guys. Now, I saw something I just want to bring up, like with the Cowboys. I mean, my God. I mean, next year, as of right now, according to Spot Track, it says the top 51 estimated cap space for the top 51, they're minus $7.5 million. Okay. Which means, okay, if they're going to try to sign their draft class, say they got 7 guys, right? 1, 2, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. I mean, they might need $7 million, maybe $8 million, just throwing a number out there to sign their draft. I'm not exactly sure if they have all 7 of them or not, but I mean, they're going to have a first rounder and everything. But I mean, there's $7.5 million in the hole right now. Okay. They're going to need, say, another $7.5 million just to sign their draft class. All right. And this is not signing any free agents. So basically, to sign their sign their draft class and what they are in the hole right now, they're $15 million. They got to come up with $15 million, which they don't have. $15 million. So they got to clear up $15 million in cap space, right? I mean, you're going to, it was another one of the reasons why it made no sense whatsoever for the Cowboys to try to bring Odell Beckham Jr. in there if he's looking for a long-term, a couple-year contract. I mean, as I said, they need to get rid of $15 million, all right, just to sign their draft class. And that's not with any free agents, all right? So I don't know how they're going to try to bring in Odell Beckham Jr. and say pay him $10, $15 million a year if they have to get rid of $15 million just to sign their draft class. I mean, it makes no sense whatsoever to me. There was the same thing with Buffalo. Buffalo, I think, is minus as well, too, I think, if I'm not mistaken, next year, too. I don't know why he went to Buffalo. I mean, they have to get rid of, like, guys just to be able to sign their draft class. I don't know why they're going to try to bring Odell Beckham, unless they were just trying to, I don't know, talk him into playing just for the playoffs or something. I mean, I have no idea. No idea. But as I said, what the Cowboys right now, I mean, they're $7.5 million in the red right now. They have to get rid of 15 just to sign their draft class. And that's not including, maybe trying to bring a free agent in here or there. So they're going to be losing guys, right? Because they can't afford to keep everybody, right? So they're going to be losing guys, right? So, the Cowboys might be looking pretty, or that might have had a nice year this year and all that, but, things aren't looking all that rosy for them. I mean, because they got, wow, my God. They got Dak Prescott. His cap hit next year is $49 million. Wow. This is the problem. I mean, they got, Dak Prescott is making almost $50 million, and DeMarcus Lawrence, his cap hit is $26 million. So between Dak Prescott and DeMarcus Lawrence, it's $75 million for 2 guys. Then there's almost $20 million for Zach Martin. So between those 3 guys, $95 million. You throw Tyrone Smith in there, it's $17.5 million, right? That's $112 million for 4 guys. Then you throw Ezekiel Elliott in there, all right? He's making 16, so that's almost $130 million for their top 5 guys. Throw Michael Gallup in there. He's $14 million. So you got like $140 million or so for like their top 6 guys. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, they'll be getting rid of Zeke might be gone. Tyrone Smith might be gone. Their tackle. I can't get rid of DeMarcus Lawrence. They can't get rid of Zach Martin. They wouldn't want to get rid of Zach Martin, but no, I can't get rid of Michael Gallup. I mean, they got, 1, 2, 3. Their top 6 guys are making like $140 million. I mean, it's just crazy. Absolutely crazy. So the Cowboys, they're going to be getting rid of some guys. They're going to be getting rid of some guys without question next year. So the Cowboys are going to look a little different, right? So, I mean, one of the things that Joe Schoen does not want, he wants to avoid okay, would be what the Cowboys are doing. Okay. They're $7.5 million in the hole already next year. They can't even sign their draft class next year. They're going to sign their draft class, without question. They just have to start letting go of guys, right? Which brings me to the next thing I want the Giants to avoid, obviously, with Joe Schoen, because once again, I'm not telling him anything, right? He knows all this stuff. But what the Eagles are doing, okay? Now the Eagles, they're it's all, once again, they got all the chips in front of them. Chips all in the middle of the table, baby. Right on red, baby. It's this year or nothing, right? They got guys that they're going to be paying. I don't know if anybody's a Met fan out there, like I am. I mean, I don't mind the Yankees. I'm a Met fan. I grew up on Long Island. My dad would not drive into New York City. I don't know why. So we would watch. I became a Giant fan who played in they played in Yankee Stadium, but I would watch the Islanders. We were like half an hour from Nassau County Coliseum, and we were like about an hour or so from Shea Stadium. So we watched the Mets. I went to watch the Mets live. I watched the Islanders live, and I saw the Nets with Julius Erving and all. So so I'm a Met fan. So when we signed Bobby Bonilla, I forgot when it was. We signed him, and we paying him like $1 million a year for like 300,000 years. It's like I forgot whatever it is. There's a certain day each year. It's like Bobby Bonilla Day where we got to dish him like $1 million. So I guess, I don't know if that's how he restructured his contract, how he wanted it structured. Very smart. Very, very. I think it's like $1 million a year for like 30 years or something like that. So I think we have like another 10 years left on it or something. But that's what kind of like what the Eagles are doing. Right, they're getting guys, they're signing guys, and they're making these voided years, okay, where the guy's not on the team no more, but you're still paying them, right? So that's what the Eagles are doing, all right. One of the reasons why it's kind of like, well, how can the Eagles have all these great players? Well, for a couple of reasons. Once again, Jalen Hurts is on his rookie contract, right? That's the time to win. That's the time to push the chips all in the middle of the table, bring as much talent in as you humanly possibly can, like the Eagles are, okay? Because you got a decent quarterback. And I said, it's going to be a whole new ball game, right? It was kind of like when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, I think it was 2017, when they had Carson Wentz, rookie contract. Chips all in the middle of the table. Let them ride, baby. We need to win this year, because once we start paying Carson Wentz, we're fucking screwed, right? Which is wind up happening, okay? And the Eagles would not have, if the Carson Wentz was still the quarterback, right, they would not have all the talent on the team this year, right, because they couldn't afford to pay him, right? They can, because Jalen Hurts is not making that much money. What the heck is Jalen Hurts making here? Jalen Hurts next year's salary cap is $4.8 million. $4.8 million. So it's going to go from 4.8 to probably maybe almost 48 if he has another phenomenal season next year, right? He's going to make a lot of money, that young man. Good for him, okay? But my point is that, the Eagles, they got guys on their roster. I mean, that's why they have so much talent. That's why you just like, you're like, you're just scratching your head. It's like, say, whatever. You like the Saints, or you like the Falcons, or some of these other teams, you're like, how can we suck? Every player on our teams, not everybody, but we got like no defensive linemen. We got there, we stink here, we stink there, we got there. How come the Eagles have like 315 guys on their defense that they're paying, who all have like 300 sacks? Why do they have two top cornerbacks, right? Slay and Bradbury. How can they get DeVonta Smith and A.J. Brown? And why do they got the best offensive line in football? They got like 2 Hall of Fame offensive linemen, and the other 3 offensive linemen are they got a really good offensive line coach too, without question. But how come they got all these? It's like, how come every place you look, they got like an all-pro? And I don't know. I like, whatever. I like the Texans, right? Just saying, and we suck everywhere. Why We spend $200 million and we suck everywhere. And how come the Eagles spend $200 million and they have Hall of Famers at every position? What's going on there? How come the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl? We can't even win a football game. Well, I mean, one of the reasons why, okay, is because they're pushing all the chips and I mean, they got like, look, you go to Spot Track, okay, you check on the Eagles, okay. There's a lot of red there, which is not good. You go to James Bradbury. Apparently, he's a free agent after this year. His dead cap hit is about $5 million next year. The Eagles owe out 27, or the dead cap money next year is about $27.5 million next year. Their dead cap money. The Eagles have cap space. They got about $5 million in cap space next year. For the top 51, $5 million. They can't even sign it. They got 2 first-round picks. So they're pick number 10 and pick number, I don't know, let's just say 30. You're not going to know until after the playoffs are over. But they'll barely be able to sign their first-round picks. They can't sign their whole draft class, so they're going to have to start getting rid of some guys. But if you start looking, like you go down here, click on James Bradbury, right? He's a free agent after next year, okay? One of the reasons why they were able to bring him in and sign him, okay? You look here, 2023 is an unrestricted free agent, okay? He's getting paid. He has 4 voided years of a contract. So basically, it says contract news, 2023 to 2026 years automatically void, okay? He is cap hit. I mean, he's got a cap hit. It's like they're paying him 1, 2. I guess looks like they're paying him like $1 million, $1.2 million next year. They're paying him $1.2 million in 2024. They're paying him $1.2 million in 2025. And they're paying him $1.2 million in 2026. So basically, one of these reasons how can the Eagles afford Darius Slayton? Why are they going to sign and how do they get James Bradbury too? Well, you sign him. Right? Then you say, James, we're going to give you, whatever, $10 million, $12 million, whatever. Well, I forgot what his salary was. What is his signed? Let's say $7.2 million contract, which includes a $6.2 million signing bonus. Okay. The whole thing was guaranteed. Okay. But what they do is they just pay him over like 300 years. Right? They kick the can down the road, which is what you don't want to do. So basically, they're hurting a salary cap for the next 4 years because they want all the chips in the middle of the table for this year to try to win the Super Bowl. It's the same thing with, so you go to James Bradbury. Who's the other guy? I mean, the other guys. I mean, Isaac Samolo, like their guard, looks like the same thing with him. If we go, he's a unrestricted free agent next year. All right, yeah, they're the same thing here. I mean, they're paying him. Looks like $1.9 million next year, $1.9 million in 2024, $1.5 in 2025, and $923,000 in 2026. And he's not even going to be on the team. So the next 4 years, he won't be on the team, but they're going to be paying him. Kicking the can down the road, which is, once again, something you don't want to do. So, I mean, the Eagles and they're doing it with other guys too. I mean, I'm seeing a lot. Like Jason Kelsey here, their center, who's going to be like 36 next year, I think. Let's see. He's an unrestricted free agent after this year. Looks like the same thing here. Looks like they're paying him for 4 years. Looks like they're paying him like $5 million next year. 2024 looks like they're paying him $4 million. 2025, $4 million. In 2026, $2 million. Kicking the can down the road, right? I mean, he's not going to be on the team, and they're going to be paying him for 4 years, right? I mean, that's why the Eagles look so good. I mean, man, all the talent that man, the Eagles are so good. Well, yeah, you pay him. Hey, you're going to be a Hall of Famer, right? Yeah, we'll bring you in. We'll pay you $300 trillion this year, right? Make you happy. We'll just spread it out over $300 trillion. We'll pay you $1 million for 300 trillion years, right? Right? Kicking the can down the road, right? Which is something you don't want to do. You're screwing up your salary cap, okay, for years to come. Years. You look at some of these guys. Oops, sorry, my dog went. Damn, my good boy. Yeah, I mean, right? You're paying these guys for like 3-4 years, down, and they're not on the team, right? So I mean, it makes you like, man, why the Eagles so well? Now you know one of the reasons why, right? Why they got so many good guys? Well, that's what they're doing. They're pushing all the chips in the middle of the table. Okay, that's why they're so good, right? So and then not only than we paying they're paying some of these guys 3-4 years down the road, they ain't gonna be on the team. But then they take into account the fact that when Jalen Hurts wants to get paid, that's another $40 million on the cap hit. They're going to have to, I mean, they'll work it out where it's not going to shoot up $40 million the first year. But that's one of the reasons why the Eagles are so good, right? That's why they have so many good quality players at so many different positions. Okay, it's because they're paying them, right? But they're paying them maybe a small amount, maybe this year, okay, but they're going to pay them for like 300 million years after this, just so they can have them on the team for this year, right? So it's the same thing with the Eagles, right? Same thing with the Cowboys and all that. I mean, the Eagles are going to lose some guys next year, right? I mean, and they got some dead cap money. And, I guess they might just keep on trying to do the same thing, just keep bringing guys in and just keep paying them that. But that's something Joe Schoen does not want to do. Joe Schoen's a little smarter than that, okay? You give the Eagles credit for having a good, talented team, but it's not like, man, wow, they're just so special. Wow, no, right? They're going to be paying guys on their roster who aren't on the roster. They're going to be paying them for years to come. One of the big reasons why the Eagles have all that good quality talent, that good team, good solid team. That and this, I mean, that's how competitive the football is. I mean, that's what you have to come to. But hopefully, Joe Schoen does not fall into that trap. Okay, hopefully we do what we do. Right, we start drafting. Right, we draft well. Right, hopefully the top 2, 3, 4 guys that we draft, or whatever, all be contributors, which would be huge. Right. The other guys we bring in, the later round picks, hopefully we develop them, right? Sign them, keep them on the roster, right? And hopefully we can keep the salary cap under control. Hopefully, Joe Schoen doesn't do what they're doing in Philadelphia. Hopefully Joe Schoen doesn't do what they're doing in Dallas. Hopefully Joe Schoen's not going to do what Gettleman did or Reese is doing, right? Hopefully we keep the free agency. You want to bring in a free agent. You don't want to bring free agents in to to fill out the roster. Well, we got 7 holes. We'll bring in 7 free agents, and that's not the way to do it. The best thing to do is, you sit back. What kind of culture do we want? Right? What kind of player do we want? And the beauty of the football, college football, there's tons of guys out there. Okay. You do your scouting, you do this and that and all that. You interview the guys, you talk to them, and blah, 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 and all. And you bring, we need an inside linebacker. Okay. You have 3 or 4 guys, whatever, however they do it. We want one of these 3 or 4 guys, culture guys that we can develop, guys that'll be good, blah, 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 all that. We need a cornerback, right? We want a second cornerback. Well, at least there's 3, 4 guys that we want, right? We need a wide receiver. We broke it down to these 5 wide receivers. Obviously you're not going to get them all, but you bring in guys that fit the culture, the guys that you think you can develop, obviously the guys that be, especially on the cheap right away. The one thing is that, when you bring in a free agent, for the most part, what his talent level is going to be in the NFL. That doesn't necessarily is going to work out for your team, but you know what he can do. I mean, because you bring in a college guy, man, this guy was good in college. Holy cow. Doesn't mean he's going to be phenomenal in the pros. Okay. If the guy makes it to the pros and he does well, you can kind of maybe figure out, well, there's a good chance this guy might be pretty good for our team. It doesn't always fit, work out, but I mean, hopefully Joe Schoen does not fall into those traps of like what Gettleman did, Reese did, the Cowboys are doing, or the freaking Eagles, where they're kicking the can down the road. Wow, look how good a team is. Yeah, I guess, if bring in all the good guys out there, and we'll pay you for 300 million years. Even when you're off, even when you're dead, we'll still be paying you. We'll be paying you and your family. I mean, if that's what the Eagles want to do, whatever. They're probably going to screw them over somewhere along down the line. I'll be so happy when it does. Well, guys, it's been 30 minutes on this one. I spent 5-10 minutes on the other one. I do apologize to anybody watching me. I do apologize. The damn microphone went out. I got to keep an eye on my microphone. I can't touch the microphone cord. Once I touch the microphone cord, the microphone goes out. So I got 3 thumbs ups. Thank you, guys. Whoever's been watching, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. Thank you so much. It really does. Or if anybody spends any time at all watching the replay of this, once again, guys, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. It really does mean the world to me. Thank you so much. Thank you. And as always, guys, you guys stay safe out there. Enjoy the 2 championship games tomorrow. Let's go 49ers, right? And as always, go Giants. Woo! Oh, yeah.